Have you ever stood in the middle of a discount store holding a 3-pack of basic cotton socks or a bottle of dish liquid, looked at the price tag, and felt like someone was quietly laughing at you behind the security cameras? You buy a pack of kids' school shirts, wash them twice, and suddenly the side seams are spiraling around their ribs like a barbershop pole, while the fabric feels thinner than tracing paper. You pour double the normal capful of laundry detergent just to get a basic wash to smell vaguely clean, and your supermarket receipt keeps climbing despite your trolley looking depressingly half-empty. You assume you are just terrible at budgeting or that global inflation made everything genuinely impossible to produce. You are wrong. You have spent the last 4 years walking straight into an engineered retail squeeze designed by corporate boardrooms that know exactly how much quality they can strip out before you give up in exhaustion. Today, we are dismantling the modern discount retail machine piece by piece. I will show you how Australia's biggest retail chains quietly wrecked everyday basics while charging you 20 to 40% more for the privilege. You will find out how supermarket giants and department store empires manipulate fabric weights, dilute active chemical compounds, and engineer return policies specifically so you will abandon your refund. We will crack open the private label shell game that replaced the brands your family trusted for 30 years with house brand junk that costs pennies to make. And stick around, because the single most egregious, downright cynical quality downgrade on this entire list is sitting right near the end, and the laboratory breakdown on that one will make your blood boil. Before we name a single company, you need to understand how the stuff sitting on everyday discount shelves is actually constructed, because the deception does not happen at the checkout. It happens in the factory floor specifications. Take everyday cleaning products like dish soap or laundry liquid. The only ingredient that actually matters for lifting grease and breaking surface tension is the concentration of active surfactants, usually compounds like sodium laureth sulfate or linear alkyl benzene sulfonate. When a manufacturer wants to maintain a margin during inflationary spikes, they do not just raise the price. They thin the surfactant concentration from 16% down to 9%, dump in industrial sodium chloride as a cheap chemical thickening agent so the fluid still looks rich and syrupy, and add more synthetic fragrance. You think you bought thick, heavy-duty concentrate. In reality, you bought perfumed, salted water that requires 3 squirts instead of 1, meaning you drain the bottle twice as fast. The textile game is even dirtier. A quality basic garment relies on long staple combed cotton, spun at a decent fabric density, typically measured as grams per square meter. Decent everyday cotton sits around 180 GSM with reinforced double needle chain stitching. What the modern value chains do instead is switch to open-end short staple fibers, blend in 40% recycled polyester to mask the weakness, and drop the weight down to 120 GSM. To stop the garment from feeling like rough cheesecloth on the hanger, mills bathe the finished fabric in silicone chemical softening baths. It feels remarkably soft in your hands under the fluorescent store lights. But the very first warm machine cycle washes that silicone coating straight down the drain, leaving you with a twisted, pilled, scratchy rag that falls apart at the seams before the school term even hits mid-semester. Then there is the structural trap nobody talks about, the deliberate friction built into modern consumer refunds. When a discount chain sells a $6 kitchen gadget or an $8 garment that falls apart in 48 hours, they know that 94% of shoppers will never bother driving back, queuing at customer service, and arguing with a supervisor over a single-digit dollar amount. The catastrophic product failure rate is not an accident or a supply chain mishap. It is an actuarial calculation built directly into the gross margin. The retailer pockets the profit from the garbage batch, writes off the fraction of returns from the stubborn few, and leaves you to absorb the financial loss in your own rubbish bin. Once you understand that the system was built to wear you down, the only question left is who is running this playbook hardest right now. Let us start with the quietest downgrade in the entire Australian shopping landscape, the Reject Shop and their revolving carousel of unbranded domestic plastic and hardware essentials. Everyone treats this chain as an innocent bargain bin stop for cheap party supplies, garden pots, and wrapping paper. But look at what happened to their private label cleaning tools and utility gear. Independent consumer testing and comparative teardowns reveal that their budget bucket sets, peg baskets, and basic toolkits are injection molded from post-industrial scrap polypropylenes containing almost zero ultraviolet stabilizers. Leave one of their $4 plastic laundry baskets on a sunlit veranda in Western Sydney for 3 weeks, and the polymer chains undergo rapid photooxidative degradation. The plastic literally chalks up, goes brittle, and shatters into jagged shards the second you lift a load of wet towels. At $4.50, you think you saved $3 over a heavy-duty tub from Bunnings. When you replace it 3 times inside 18 months, your real cost is over $13 for a bucket of microplastics. An engineering review from Material Testing Labs highlighted that removing UV-inhibiting benzotriazoles saves pennies per unit in overseas molding plants while reducing outdoor product lifespan by up to 80%. You are buying disposable plastic pretending to be household equipment. If you are already itching to check your laundry cupboard and calculate how much you have thrown in the bin, hit subscribe right now because the corporate cost-cutting only gets rougher from here. Take a stroll over to Big W and pull a multi-pack of basic plain cotton tees or kids' school singlets off the rack from their brilliant basics line. Big W built an entire generation of trust as the accessible, reliable family department store owned by the multi-billion-dollar Woolworths Group empire. Families trusted them because their basic garments used to survive hand-me-down cycles through 3 siblings. Not anymore. Independent textile weight audits show that Brilliant Basics children's tees have had their raw fabric weight aggressively shaved down to around 115 grams per square meter, stitched together with cheap single-thread overlocking using polyester core yarn. What does that mean when you throw it in the wash? The first spin cycle warps the garment entirely because the fabric was knit on high-speed circular looms under heavy mechanical tension, then treated with temporary chemical sizing agents to hold its shape on the shop hanger. The moment water touches it, the unbalanced residual torque releases, causing the side seams to twist 45 degrees across the chest. At $5 per shirt, it looks like a win for a parent stretching their paycheck. At 20 washes per year, the shirt is see-through and misshapen before term 2 even finishes, pushing your actual cost per wear well beyond a $20 heritage workwear shirt. As one frustrated mother posted in a verified retail consumer forum, after 2 delicate cycles, the collar looked like a piece of cooked fettuccine, and the armpit seam simply unzipped. You are not buying budget clothing, you are buying single-season textile landfill. Then we need to talk about Kohl's and their ubiquitous Ultra and Smart Buy household cleaning range. Kohl's Group operates over 800 supermarkets across the country, backed by algorithmic inventory pricing that tracks your basket down to the milliliter. Their private label Ultra dishwashing liquid sits directly beside name brand Morning Fresh on the eye-level shelf, marketed as an identical powerhouse concentrate for less than half the sticker price. But look at the chemical reality exposed in comparative lab assessments conducted by Choice. Morning Fresh operates with an active surfactant concentration approaching 40%, which is why a single 4 milliliter squirt can strip grease from an entire family roast pan. The Kohl's private label alternative, retailing at roughly $2.20 for a 900 milliliter bottle, frequently clocks in with active surfactant levels hovering around 9 to 12%, padded out with water and thickeners. When you wash greasy cookware, the micellar matrix collapses almost instantly against animal fats, forcing you to squirt 4 to 5 times more volume per sink load. Your $2.20 bottle vanishes in 9 days, while the $8 premium concentrate lasts 3 months, meaning you are paying significantly more per clean dish while hauling heavy plastic bottles of salted water home every single week. A laboratory chemist from a major Australian analytical testing facility noted that consumers regularly mistake high kinematic viscosity for active cleaning strength, when in fact it is often just added salt reacting with cheap sulfates. The supermarket chain saves millions on raw surfactant procurement, while you stand at the sink pumping diluted brine into your sponge. That brings us to Kmart and their legendary Anko house brand empire. Over the last 8 years, Wesfarmers pulled off what the retail industry considers a corporate miracle. They cleared out almost every independent manufacturer from Kmart shelves and replaced 90% of the store with in-house Anko products. The aesthetic is clean, Scandinavian, and ridiculously cheap, turning spontaneous Kmart hauls into a cultural phenomenon. But take apart an Anko $30 microwave, a $15 kettle, or a $12 hand mixer, and the industrial engineering tells a terrifying story of aggressive component minimization. Electrical safety teardowns and consumer advocacy reports have repeatedly flagged the use of low-grade thermal fuses, fragile unreinforced plastic gear assemblies, and paper-thin heating elements designed with zero thermal redundancy. When you blend a batch of fibrous pumpkin soup, the nylon internal drive gears strip their teeth under moderate torque loads, turning the motor into a screaming, smoking paperweight. At $15, You cannot be bothered filing a formal warranty claim, especially when the return desk demands an original docket and technical fault demonstration. You chuck it in your council hard rubbish pile and buy another one. Choice reliability surveys have consistently ranked these ultra-cheap small appliances near the bottom of long-term owner satisfaction charts. A retired consumer appliance repair technician put it bluntly, Anko small appliances are engineered to survive exactly 1 day past their statutory warranty period, provided you barely use them. It is built-in obsolescence disguised as democratized interior design. Now for the absolute heavyweight champion of the private label squeeze, Woolworths and their flagship Essentials Everyday range. Woolworths controls roughly 37% of Australia's entire grocery market, operating with some of the highest retail profit margins of any supermarket conglomerate in the developed world. When inflation escalated supply chain costs across 2022 and 2023, Woolworths did not absorb the squeeze. They expanded their ultra-cheap Essentials brand to crowd out mid-tier Australian manufacturers from shelf planograms. Consider the Woolworths Essentials laundry liquid versus premium concentrated alternatives. Lab formulations show that this budget jug is loaded with high water content, basic optical brighteners, and minimal protease or amylase enzyme complexes. Enzymes are the single most expensive ingredient in modern laundry chemistry. They are what actually digest protein, sweat, and starch stains at low wash temperatures. Without them, the liquid merely sloshes dirt around the drum, depositing fluorescent dye over the fabric to fool your eyes under outdoor sunlight, while body oils remain embedded in the weave. At $3.50 for a 2-litre bottle, you think you beat the cost of living crisis. But when your work shirts retain a stale gym smell after 3 cycles, you end up buying expensive in-wash scent boosters and stain remover sprays to compensate, turning a cheap wash into a $6 chemical cocktail. The ACCC has repeatedly investigated supermarket dominance and pricing mechanics, exposing how house brands are weaponized against external suppliers to dictate wholesale margins. As one commercial laundry consultant noted, washing heavily soiled clothes in cheap, enzyme-depleted liquid is essentially like bathing in lukewarm tap water and hoping for the best. Woolworths quietly captures massive corporate margins on private label staples, while delivering a product stripped of the very active chemistry required to do the job properly. Right, here comes the part that made watching this far worth it. Now that you have seen exactly how the corporate machine cuts corners, let us look at the products in Australian shops that actually deliver honest quality, maintain genuine ingredient integrity, and save you serious cash over their real-world lifespan. First on the list is Aldi's private label Tandle Ultra dishwashing liquid range. Aldi operates on a radically stripped-back operational model, where they do not run costly loyalty tracking databases or fund massive national celebrity ad campaigns, allowing them to formulate their chemical products with legitimate potency. In independent comparative testing conducted by Choice, Tandle Ultra Power Soak and Ultra Quick Dry wiped the floor with almost 50 competing formulations, including major legacy brands costing 4 times as much. The formula packs a heavy concentration of genuine biodegradable surfactants that actually emulsify stubborn animal grease on contact instead of requiring endless mechanical scrubbing. The liquid has a dense, non-watery drag on the sponge, producing rich microfoam that sustains surface tension across a mountain of dirty dinner pans. At roughly $1.80 for a 450 milliliter bottle, it costs about 40 cents per 100 milliliters. Compare that to name-brand competitors demanding upwards of $1.50 per 100 milliliters, and you are getting industrial-strength cleaning performance at basement pricing. The downside is simply availability. You cannot grab it at your local corner shop and have to make a dedicated run to an Aldi storefront. If you want maximum household cleaning power on a tight grocery budget, this is the benchmark value pick in Australia. The Guardian. When you step into everyday wardrobe essentials, Bonds and their heritage cotton collections, available across Big W, Best and Less, and dedicated outlet stores, stand as the practical standard. Founded in Sydney way back in 1915, Bonds has maintained strict manufacturing specifications around their core breathable Australian cotton knits. Instead of shaving fabric weights down to paper-thin levels, their core chesty singlets, basic tees, and cotton stretch underwear use long staple combed cotton fibers spun at durable yarn counts with reinforced elastane ribbing around necklines and armholes. When you put them on, the fabric possesses a reassuring physical weight against your skin that does not rely on synthetic chemical softening baths to feel substantial. Put them through 30 hot wash cycles, and the side seams remain straight because the fabric torque is mechanically stabilized before cutting. A multi-pack might cost you $20 to $30 compared to a $12 supermarket 3-pack, but the cost per wear flips dramatically in your favor. A pair of budget value undies that unravels in 3 months costs you far more than a sturdy Bonds Basic that endures 2 full years of daily rotation. As textile testing technicians often point out, fabric tensile strength and elastic recovery under tension are the true markers of value in underwear. This is the ideal no-nonsense solution for working parents and daily schoolwear where garments need to survive relentless laundry cycles. Best and less. For household cleaning where you need absolute heavy-duty chemical efficacy, Morning Fresh Ultra Concentrate remains the undisputed heavy hitter on Australian shelves. Owned by PZ Cussons and widely stocked across Coles, Woolworths, Chemist Warehouse and IGA, this brand refuses to play the dilution game with their core concentrated formula. Lab assays demonstrate that Morning Fresh packs an active surfactant load approaching nearly 40%, supported by advanced lipid-cleaving enzymes that break down baked-on carbon and grease with a microscopic dosage. The texture is thick and gelatinous, dispensing in controlled droplets where a single 4 milliliter squirt can genuinely tackle a full sink of crusty roasting trays. At roughly $6 for a 400 milliliter bottle, the upfront sticker shock scares away casual discount hunters. But when you calculate the cost per wash, it works out to under 5 cents per sink load, because you are not pumping quarter-cup doses of diluted water into your sponge every 10 minutes. Choice Testing has repeatedly awarded it top-tier cleaning efficiency scores across decades of standard testing protocols. The only catch is that you must resist the habit of overpouring. Treating it like a cheap watery soap will waste your money fast. For busy households with heavy cooking loads, it is an unbeatable investment in everyday efficiency. Chemist Warehouse, finally, in the kitchen and home utility space, look at Australian-stocked heritage kitchenware brands like Breville or Scanpan, available through retailers like Myer, Harris Scarfe, and House. Rather than relying on stamped sheet metal and fragile nylon drive gears, their entry-level appliances use die-cast metal couplings, heavy copper-wound motors, and thermal cutoff switches designed to reset rather than melt. The tactile feedback is solid: weighted dials, thick borosilicate glass jugs, and reinforced stainless steel blades that crush ice without straining the motor housing. Yes, paying $80 to $120 for a baseline blender or kettle hurts more than tossing a $15 discount unit into your trolley. But when that appliance functions flawlessly for 7 to 10 years without filling a landfill bin, your actual annual cost drops to pocket change. Independent appliance repair specialists constantly highlight that serviceable internal assemblies make quality gear far cheaper across a decade of use. This is the top-tier path for anyone tired of the endless cycle of buy, break, and discard. Here are 5 golden rules you should screenshot before your next shopping run at Coles, Woolworths, Aldi, or Big W. Rule 1. Always check the unit pricing on cleaning chemicals, but calculate it by active surfactant volume rather than total liquid weight, because $5 per litre of salted water is never a bargain. Rule 2. If a garment label states less than 140 grams per square metre, or blends more than 30% polyester into basic cotton tees, leave it on the rack because it will warp after 2 wash cycles. Rule 3. Look for green flag certifications like Oeko-Tex Standard 100 on budget textiles and specific named enzyme complexes like protease or amylase on laundry bottles, which prove the manufacturer spent money on functional active ingredients rather than synthetic fragrance. Rule 4. Treat any small electrical appliance under $20 with unreinforced plastic drive gears as a disposable fire risk. And remember that under Australian consumer law, your statutory consumer guarantees apply, regardless of what the store's printed 30-day receipt claims. Rule 5. When shopping discount bins at the reject shop or dollar outlets, strictly buy items whose sole job is to be used up immediately, like grease-proof baking paper or scrubbing pads, and never buy load-bearing plastics or outdoor garden tools that lack UV inhibitors. The fundamental truth behind the Australian discount retail machine is remarkably simple. Publicly traded retail conglomerates are legally structured to prioritize quarterly margin growth over the longevity of your household budget. They rely on the subtle psychological trick of keeping shelf prices seemingly low while quietly gutting the chemical potency, fabric density, and physical engineering of everyday items so you consume twice as much, twice as fast. When you stop looking at sticker prices and start measuring the true cost per wear, cost per wash, and lifespan per dollar, the entire illusion of the bargain store falls apart. Thank you for spending your valuable time with me today to pull back the curtain on these corporate retail games. If this investigation saved your wallet from another round of planned obsolescence, share this video with your mates and family, because everyone has a mate currently wasting hard-earned cash on watered-down cleaning jugs and warped school shirts. Drop a comment below and tell me, which of these budget house brands is sitting in your pantry or laundry right now, and how fast did it fall apart? Next week, we are diving deep into the Australian supermarket duopoly, the hidden tactics behind digital member pricing, and how your everyday shopping data is being weaponized against you. Check the real cost before you tap your card.